The next component we're going to add is what we call our potentiometer rail. And what this does is we can actually adjust from about 50,000 ohms of resistance here to a very low amount of resistance. Okay, you can see that on here there's 4 pins on each end and on this end as well. Most of those pins are there for structure to hold it onto the board. Some of those pins are there so that we can make a contact, an electrical contact. Okay, so how we attach this can only go on one way. We're going to slide it into the pins that are located right next to our transformer. And at first it's going to be a little bit wobbly, but once we solder this, it should be good to go. When soldering the pins on our potentiometer rail, it's a little bit different than when we did the transformer. You can actually have the 4 on one end touch, that's okay. So if your solder goes from one pin to the next, that's okay. It's not a problem. Just make sure that those 4 are actually held in location. When you're soldering, if you ever add a little too much, use that to your advantage. You can heat it up, drag it over to a section where you're supposed to be soldering something else. Okay. When you're done with this, if I flip it over, I should notice that my slide rail potentiometer here is nice and straight up and down. If it's not straight up and down, meaning that it leans to the left or leans to the right, what we have to do is heat up this pin right here on both sides, that one and that one, and then what we can do is we can actually bend that so that it's nice and straight up and down. If it's at an angle, it won't affect its function, but what will end up happening is when we put it in our case, it's going to end up hitting the case. So that'll be a problem. So make sure that's nice and straight up and down.